got a chance to, we dug in on Alabama a good bit in the Texas A&M game. What else has stood out as you've gone back to look at the Tide's big win in College Station?
So we talked all week about how good A&M's front was at getting pressure and how they had 15 tackles for loss. I got to say, like in non-blitz situations, nicely done by Alabama's offensive line. Like they actually made A&M come up and bring extra rushers, which I was not anticipating. So better job by Alabama's offensive line and overall pass protection scheme as a whole than I thought they would do down there in Kyle Field. So good job, Alabama. And I mean, Bama's D-line outshined A&M's D-line, right? They were just better on the day. They won. They beat them up front more. They won more individual matchups. So line of scrimmage, Bama kind of sunned them.
Still can't run the damn ball, though. Like they were good at pass
that is true.
But running the ball, they get no push. They need to hit the squat rack a little more. Get Jalen Hurts back there to show him proper form.
Tanner asked, he jumped in before we got started, do y'all think Clemson would beat Alabama if they played in neutral tomorrow?
Would or could? Because could for sure, yeah.
But that, would I have Bama favored? Yeah.
Yeah.
But would it be by a touchdown? No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It'd be like a 55-45 proposition. So yeah, Clemson could beat Alabama for sure.
Alabama, or when we were talking about taking them seriously, what's the Alabama path to the playoff and how seriously are you taking it? Obviously, it's win out, beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, but so Tennessee and LSU are going to be coming to Tuscaloosa. The Auburn game at the end of the season is on the Plains. And then, of course, you would have to stack Alabama up against Georgia in Atlanta. How seriously do you take that the potential of Nick Saban making it back to the playoff?
I am not worried about Tennessee and Auburn. Like Auburn, okay, Iron Bowl, weird things happen, maybe. But I'm not worried about Tennessee. I think LSU could be a tougher test for them simply because if LSU is able to put points on the board, I don't know if I trust this Alabama offense to be able to keep up, even against this LSU secondary, because Jalen Milroe, I mean, he made some great throws against Texas A&M. It was probably his best game as a passer that we have seen. So maybe against that LSU secondary, he hits those throws, but we've also seen him miss a lot of those throws. So it's like, how accurate is he that day? I think is what it's going to come down to for the Tide in that one. But I do think that, yeah, like they're probably going to get to Atlanta. Can they beat Georgia? They can beat the Georgia team that we saw for the first month of the season. They can't beat the Georgia team we saw playing in Kentucky.
Look, I'm not going to rule anything out completely with Nick Saban. In watching the Alabama A&M game, though, I think one of the things that struck me the most was just like how almost every time that we've ever covered an Alabama loss, it would have felt like a huge deal. And I was thinking like, yeah, it's just kind of what they are. Now they're winning the game, they won the game, but it didn't feel like, oh man, do we need to have an emergency podcast for this? Do we like this is a freak out moment? It just felt like, all right, another Bama road performance, just kind of non-spectacular, just good. This is kind of how the dynasty ends type thing. Just, not abrupt, just a consistent slide. So do I take their chances of making the playoffs seriously? Not really, but there's not like 15 teams that have better odds to make the playoff than Alabama. Sure. Like they're still alive. I was very much on Notre Dame once they had lost was done because I did not like their path. I thought the offense looked terrible. But Alabama, you can't completely write them off.
I'm not that worried about them from a standpoint of being like I don't think they win the SEC. I think there's a chance there's another slip up in the regular season. Do you guys feel like Bama won that game or A&M lost it?
Jimbo lost it.
And I mean, the Jimbo and the Texas A&M staff, I thought there was a bunch of reasons why the coaching hurt them. The conservative play calling. They kept having Max Johnson drop back like either 5 steps from the gun, 7 from under center, like deep drops, trying to let the play develop down the field. And I'm thinking, screaming at the TV, like, why do you keep calling these deep dropbacks? They are not protecting him. And they were, taking advantage of it. On the flip side, I thought A&M on the defense side of the ball didn't bring as many pressures in the second half. There's a reason why they weren't getting home to Milroe. So I felt like A&M lost it more than Bama won it. But Bama's won like that a lot. But I'm not I still think Georgia's, we were talking about Bama Clemson. Don't you think Georgia's probably a touchdown favorite? Neutral?
Over Bama?
6.
Yeah, somewhere right in there.
So I liked Danny. You texted this on Saturday. I liked the idea. Let's make Danny new Alabama offensive coordinator. All we're gonna do is just take deep shots, right?
Yes, I mean, because they kept throwing them in the first half, and one was like just overthrown, one was like a pretty good defensive play. But as I'm watching this unfold, I'm like, well, the NBA has totally changed their landscape based on the percentage that you can make in 3-point shots. Like, it's worth the risk. Like, screw the twos. I'm like, Jalen Milroe's strength isn't throwing the mid-range passes, so have him chuck it deep where you don't have to connect on 60% of them. You hit on 35, 40%, and they're huge plays. Like, and sure enough, like, that's what we started to get more of in the second half.
It's also the game of the athleticism of Alabama's wide receivers is going to like create some decent opportunities down the field. You mentioned Milroe's strength right there. And then you might get a flag because a defender gets beat. How many good cornerbacks are there that are going to be able to keep up the entire time? I mean, just go routes and deep balls. It's a new Alabama offense right there, and just figure out a way to see if that can help out a ground game that has really, really struggled so far through the first 6 games of the season.
Going back to your question about whether Alabama won or Texas A&M lost, I think it's both. I mean, Texas A&M did hurt itself, but Alabama did make a lot of plays to win that game that Texas A&M just didn't. So I got to give them both credit.
Fair.
Yeah, totally.
All right, what else from the weekend do we want to hit?
I want to go to Red River and give a massive shout out here to a play. Everybody saw the throw and the catch for Oklahoma's game-winning touchdown over Texas. Dylan Gabriel, nice job, staying in the pocket, letting the route develop. I like the concept. But if we can roll tape here, what you're going to see is transfer offensive tackle Walter Rouse, number 75, left side of your screen here. They're going to show another angle. He blocks 2 dudes to allow Dylan Gabriel to get this pass off. Watch 75. Engage, right arm, left arm, gets them both blocked up. I mean, that is just a phenomenal effort from Walter Rouse. Holy cow. Guys, Texas defense does not stink. And that was just, I thought Oklahoma played with such incredible effort in this game. And we talk about it a lot with the hair on fire defense. But, I mean, you block both dudes.
Hey, Bud, you got 2 boys. I've got 2 boys. I think you and I both understand one hand on each one and do what you can to keep them at bay.
Oh, my God.
Very connected to 75 on that play right there.
Dude, so the boys don't have school on Monday. And so Max is home with both of them all day. And it's a long day with, 4-year-old and a 20-month-old. And the 4-year-old, she makes really good scrambled eggs. I'm not a scrambled eggs guy. I'd rather have fried eggs. He goes, Mommy, these eggs aren't very good. You should just microwave them. And the face he got was I was like, oh man, you better have a long day. This is not. And I don't know how, like they got some immediate outside on the patio time. I was like, yeah, okay. This is